Continuing on lesson 3.5, evaluating algebraic expressions. This is looking at page 148. Alright, so we talked about evaluating expressions. Basically, we're going to substitute numbers in place of these variables and then work this out using order of operations. So for number 5, 3t minus 8, that means 3 times t minus 8. So we could say 3 times 8 minus 8. Again, they don't give a whole lot of room here to work this out, so if you do this on separate paper or something, probably not a bad choice. Order of operations, we're going to do the multiplication before we subtract. So 3 times 8 is 24, and then 24 minus 8 would be 16. So 16 should be our answer here when we work out on number 5. Number 6, similar idea, we're going to substitute first. So W is equal to 1/2 X is equal to 3. So we've got 3 operations here, multiplication, division, and addition. Out of those, multiplication and division are at the same level. Remember, we do those from left to right in the problem. So in this case, multiplication happens to come before the division. If we take half of 6 would be 3. If you're not sure on that, the 6 we could put as 6 over 1. If you multiply across, that'd be 6 divided by 2, which is 3. The next thing then we would be dividing. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then that leaves us with 1 plus 9, which is 10. So number 6, when we evaluate that, should be equal to 10. If we look at number 7, t is equal to 8, w is equal to 1/2, and x is equal to 3. So parentheses, as far as order of operations are concerned, I do have parentheses around the half, but there's nothing going on inside of there. So I'm not going to treat that as parentheses as far as order of operations goes. So I'm looking at exponents being my first thing here. 8 squared means 8 times 8. We can make a little note to ourselves what's happening there. That'd be 64. Okay, so next we would do the division here actually. Sorry, we do the multiplication. Multiplication and division from left to right. So half of 12 is 6. And then next we would do the division. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then 64 minus 2 is 62. Number 8. Basically the same idea on 8. You can work that out. You should end up getting 22 on number 8. Multiplication first before you do subtraction or addition. The next part, it says evaluate for the given value. So what we're doing here, these have a little semicolon, and that's then telling us after the semicolon what value to substitute. So when we substitute here on number 9, that's 824 divided by 4. So we would then divide that out. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 4 goes into 2 0 times. 4 goes into 24 6 times. So this should be equal to 206. On number 10, t equals 60. So we'll substitute that in. Order of operations, first thing would be 6 times 60, which is 360. Then we do 360 divided by 9. You know 36 divided by 9 is 4, so this is going to be 40. And then if you work it out, 40 minus 22, you'd have to borrow, and then you'd get 18. So 18 would be our final answer on number 10. On number 11, we'll substitute, so we've got 16 and 8/10 divided by 2 and 4/10. This is going to be dividing with decimals. So remember the first number that we're dividing goes on the inside. When you divide with decimals, we can't have a decimal on the outside, so we'll need to move that one spot over, move it on the inside one spot over as well. Basically, is multiplying our numerator and denominator by 10 gives us an equivalent fraction. 24 does not go into 16. We're looking at 24 into 168, and that ends up going 7 times. So 7 would be our answer for number 11. Number 12, we're multiplying. That's the only thing happening there. So we do 9 and 85/100 times 4. After you multiply that out, we've got 2 numbers after the decimal, so move 2 spots to the left. That'd be 39 and 40/100, or you don't need the 0 at the end. If you want to drop it off, you can. 39 and 4/10. Number 13, 2/3 divided by 12. After we substitute 12, we can put as 12 over 1. Dividing fractions, keep change reciprocal. And then multiply straight across. That would be 2 over 36. Those are both even, so we can reduce them both by 2. And that would be 1 over 18. 1/18. And finally, number 14. Y is equal to 1 1/2. On this problem, first thing would be to multiply 4 times 1 1/2. In order to do that, we're going to have to change the 1 1/2 to an improper fraction, which is 3/2. The 4 we can put over 1. So when you multiply that, would be 12 over 2. I'm going to go ahead and simplify that before I go any further, because that'll make things easier here. So 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6. Next would be the dividing. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then 3/4 plus 2, we actually just have a whole number and a fraction part, so that would just be 2 and 3/4. Looking at workbook page 35, the first problems are all very similar to what we did in the book, so we're going to skip on to some other things that we haven't had as much practice with. So let's look at number 12. Number 12, it says evaluate each expression for the set of values given in the table. Basically, it's the same idea as what we just did in your book, only they want us to put in 3 different numbers. So it's basically just 3 problems in one. So first thing on number 12, we're substituting a 1 in place of C. 1 cubed means 1 times 1 times 1. That would be the first thing, is the exponent there. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Then we would do 28 minus 1, which is 27. And then 27 plus 6 is 33. Then we would work it out if C was equal to 2. If C is equal to 2, same idea. 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Make sure you're multiplying. 28 minus 8 would be 20. And 20 plus 6 is 26. And then I think you get the idea. We would do the same idea with same steps, basically only substituting a 3 in, and you'll get 7. So that's what it means by completing the table if you're asked to do that at any point. Tamara has a pet sitting business. The table shows how much she charges. Last week she sat for 1 dog and 2 cats. Suppose Tamara spent H hours sitting the dog and 2 days sitting the cats. Write an expression that shows how much she earned. So remember, write an expression. We have to write something all on one line of what's happening here. So H hours for the dog and 2 days with the cats. 2 days with the cat's going to be our more definite one. So the cats, you can see here, 2 cats, it'd be $15 per day. So if we did that for 2 days, so for that part of the expression, you could either do 15 plus 15, or you could do 15 times 2 or 2 times 15. That would be for the cat part. And then it says H hours sitting the dog. So it says it's 1 dog. So 1 dog is $7 an hour. So $7 an hour for H hours. So for that, it's $7 an hour times however many hours. So 7H, or 7 times H. And that would be our expression. We could technically simplify by multiplying 2 times 15 and get 30. So 30 plus 7H would be another expression we could write for that. But that's what we want to write, all on one line for our expression. And then part B, it says evaluate if she sat 2 hours for the dog. So now we're actually working that out for 2 hours for the dog. So we do 2 times 15, which is 30. And then 2 hours. Technically, you guys can do both of these multiplication parts at the same time, since we know the multiplication is going to happen before addition, which is $44. Number 15, it asks for any of the pet sitting services listed in the table. How many hours can you purchase before it would be cheaper to pay for 1 day? So in other words, like, I'm really going for this many hours, but it'd be better just to pay somebody for the day instead of that. Well, we can look at this. For the dog, it was $7 an hour. 2 hours then would cost, we just figured, $14. 3 hours would cost $21. Well, a daily rate's only $20, so would be actually better to say you can watch the dog for the whole day than watching it for 3 hours. Okay, so basically that'll follow for the other ones. 2 dogs, 1 hour is $9, 2 hours would be $18, 3 hours is $27, which is then more than the $25 a day. So how many hours could you purchase before it would be cheaper? That would be 2 hours then. 2 hours, it would still be cheaper. 3 hours, it's not cheaper anymore. Number 16, the deli sells ham for $3.95 per pound, turkey for $4.30 per pound, and cheese for $3.10 per pound. Write an expression that shows how much it will cost to buy H pounds of ham, T pounds of turkey, and C pounds of cheese. That's the first step. I've tried to color code this a little bit so we can keep track of our different things that we're buying. So if the ham, it's $3.95 a pound, we're buying H pounds. So $3.95 times H would be our ham costs, and then plus, so $4.30 times T would be our cost for the turkey, and the cheese is $3.10 times C. That's our expression first that we need to write, and then we're going to find our cost. So now that we've done that, now we can substitute like we've done. So 1 pound of ham, 1.5 pounds of turkey, and 2.3 pounds of cheese. So all of those, the multiplication is going to happen before we add the costs together. And basically, what's going to happen after you work that all out, it's going to be $17.53. Confident you guys can multiply and add decimal numbers together, so that's what we should end up with. Understand, if we were actually working this out, we would need to show all of our steps. I'm just trying to save some time here on our video and move on to other things, make sure we know how to do the things we haven't talked about quite so much. Number 17, Juan rented a paddle boat for $5.75 per hour. Plus a $17.50 fee. Write an expression that shows how much it would cost Juan to rent the paddle boat for X hours, and then evaluate for 3 hours. When they talk about on this problem the $17.50 fee, that's like that one-time fee that we talked about, or that flat fee that we talked about earlier in this lesson. So for our expression, it's $5.75 times X hours, okay? Cost per hour times however many hours, and then plus $17.50. $17.50 is just a one-time deal, regardless how many hours we rent it for. So that's our expression first of all, and then we're going to evaluate that for 3 hours. So for 3 hours, that's just substituting a 3 in place of the X and then working that out. And again, confident in your abilities, when you work that out, your final answer is going to be $34.75. Number 18, table shows how much a frozen yogurt shop charges for its yogurt. Write an expression to show how much it costs to buy a small yogurt with no toppings and a large yogurt with X toppings. That's first of all, writing an expression. And then the second thing is find the total costs for a small yogurt with no toppings and a large yogurt with 3 toppings. So if we look at our table, the first thing So the small with no toppings would be $2.85. And then we want a large with X toppings. So the large to start with is $4.65, and then we're buying X toppings, whatever that is. To find that cost would be 35 cents times however many toppings we bought. You don't have to have, if you put it in this order, you wouldn't have to have parentheses around the X. So that would be our first answer for this problem. The second part, basically, same idea, only now they're saying it's going to be 3 toppings instead of X toppings. So basically just rewriting that, only we're doing now 3 toppings. And if you have a hard time writing the expression first, if you want to, you could actually write the second part, do the second thing they want, and then back up and do the expression after that, if that makes more sense for you. Okay? With this one, understand you'd have to multiply first before you add the other parts together. And when you work that out, again, confident in your abilities, this should work out to be $8.55. So this gives you an idea of how to evaluate algebraic expressions.